welcome. You're watching the biggest exclusive tonight with me, Griha. Now, from Padmavat to Laal Singh Chaddha to now Pathaan, the boycott Bollywood trend has been plaguing the film industry. Last year, several big-ticket releases like Brahmastra and Raksha Bandhan were hit by online boycott campaigns. And things aren't any different today as well, as many await the release of a Shah Rukh Khan starrer after 4 years. And it does look like the bigwigs of B-Town have decided to stand up to this cancel culture. From Amitabh Bachchan's recent diatribe at the Kolkata International Film Festival about free speech and artistic liberties being stifled by intolerance, to Kareena Kapoor Khan today making an appeal on behalf of cinema and its people on where else will all the entertainment come from. But let's first ask, how suddenly has this boycott brigade found so much ground? Why is this movement even working? How much of that anti-Hindu narrative that has been put out there is justified? And why even classify films on the basis of religion? Was the Sushant Singh Rajput death really some sort of a trigger to lash out at an industry that was conspicuous with its absence in showing any compassion, leave aside support for the late actor? But then again, wasn't Padmavat a story pre-SSR? Also a worrying stat for the industry. In 2022, no production could break even except for the Kashmir Files, Bhool Bhulaiya 2 and Brahmastra to some extent. Now, is this why the industry feeling the heat? And it is only now that they are deciding to stand up to this boycott trend? And more importantly, if we were to quote Shah Rukh Khan himself, where he said that social media is divisive and driven by narrowness, is it really the onset and the dominance of social media that is the culprit here? Let's begin by answering some of these very questions. First, the voices calling out this cancel culture. Let's take a look at that first, on the actors who have spoken about this boycott trend in the industry. Let's begin by talking about who have been the spearheaders in this case. Very recently, it is Kareena Kapoor Khan. Like I mentioned, she was talking about how else are people going to be entertained if at all films end up being boycotted. So that's Kareena. Shah Rukh Khan, of course, has spoken about how social media is driven by narrowness of views, something that he'd said when this entire Pathaan controversy broke out, and this is at the Kolkata International Film Festival, where he went on to call this, as a social media exercise where it has become a trend to go ahead and call for boycott of cinema. Amitabh Bachchan, again, at the same film festival, said questions were raised on civil liberties and expressions of freedom, and this is the truth today also, where he's talking about the intolerance that is now plaguing the society. Arjun Kapoor, very recently, in August 2022, when his film, Ek Film Returns, was actually coming out, he said that we've made a mistake by being so silent about this entire trend for so long. How the industry had refused to get into any controversy and stayed aside from making or commenting anything which was politically incorrect was treated to be the normal. However, Arjun Kapoor called just that, and he said how it was a mistake by doing that. Alia Bhatt, when her film Brahmastra, and there were calls for boycotting Brahmastra, she said that we need to cancel the cancel culture. We need to boycott the boycottists. This is Alia Bhatt's version. Vijay Verma, another promising actor, said it's a scary situation. The whole trend has gone overboard now. Something that we've been talking about, and which is why we're doing this debate as to why so much of an open call for boycotting films in the industry. Sunil Shetty, very, very recently, remember, he is getting his daughter married off, and even as we talk about that today, we also talk about this very important statement that he made before the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, and he addressed that gathering, and he addressed Yogi Adityanath, and he said that this should stop. It will stop if you, addressing to Yogi Adityanath, he said, take that lead. Now let's actually break down those reactions that we've got for you, where many bigwigs have called out this cancel culture.
Contrary to the belief that the spread of social media will affect cinema negatively, I believe cinema has an even more important role to play now. Social media is often driven by a certain narrowness of view that limits human nature to its baser self. Such pursuits enclose the collective narrative, making it divisive and destructive.
Questions are being raised on civil liberties and freedom of expression. Let us craft a singularity out of the many truths that come our way.
ये जो perception हमारा चल रहा है, कि हैशटैग बॉयकॉट बॉलीवुड, वो हम सबको मिलके उसे कैसे हटाया जा सकता है. अगर आप लीड लेंगे तो ये डेफिनेटली हो सकता है.
So let's begin by asking, even as this boycott Bollywood trend is something that has gained ground, and how in today's time, is it time now to actually go ahead and call out the cancel culture? Especially now that we're talking about this pandemonium, even as Pathaan gets set for release. Let me take this across to my guests who are joining me on the broadcast. Shiraj Nair is the spokesperson of the BHP, is with us. Also with us is senior entertainment journalist Feridun Shahryar. Feridun, I'll begin with you. You've spent a lifetime almost covering films and how cinema and the coverage of cinema has changed over the years. Did you see this in the past? Do you think this is a normal thing that has always happened, this critiquing of films on the content that they carry?
I think I've personally seen it in its various forms. I've seen it in the form that there was a point of time when there are certain people on the social media who had this uppish attitude, and they felt that maybe we know more about cinema than the other mere mortals. And they used to literally trash anyone who had a certain point of view, especially about populist cinema. That was a phase that I've seen, and I think gradually it waned off, and they realized that ultimately it is the people who have a deciding factor, who are the deciding factor as to what they want to watch. Then gradually this entire culture of opposing films based on other narratives, we've seen it with Padmavat. I was very closely. I've observed that. I've been a participant in that. Even Bajirao Mastani, we've seen a lot of these things. Several other films that have come, we have experienced that. Now, since the last, I think, couple of years, it has become overboard. But I feel that it is all, as you rightly said, it's all about perception building. Anyone who understands the film business would say that if a film is good, and if it gets proper security as far as film halls are concerned, nothing can hamper it. The fact remains that Laal Singh Chaddha, maybe it was not an entertaining film. If it would have been a traditionally entertaining Aamir Khan film, it would have done humongous business. We must understand that Dangal came right after demonetization. Even then, the entire criticism against Aamir Khan was at its peak. It went on to become one of the biggest hits at that point of time as well. So this entire culture is, I think, it doesn't really affect the box office fate, provided the film is good and the patrons, they are assured of the fact that they'll be getting proper security. In 2022, what has also happened is that somehow this entire transition between what is good for OTT and what is good for cinema halls. So I think the industry is understanding that now. They're not really, I think, staying in that bubble that anything will go on cinema halls or anything will go on OTT. So that demarcation, I think, is coming out properly. I think in 2023, we will be seeing several films which will be doing pretty well, maybe very well in the cinema halls.
So that pretty much answers the question that I actually put out through stats on how there are only, just a handful of films, in this case, just 3 films that possibly did wonders at the box office. It's also because there is a marked section of films that have come out on OTT. Feridun, I'll come back to that point. Mukesh Khanna, veteran actor, is also with us on the broadcast. Mr. Khanna, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. The fact that we're talking about this worrying trend, the boycott Bollywood trend. Members of the film industry who have worked with you in the past have also come out and spoken to leaders who matter. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has, in fact, from the BJP Executive Committee meet, had also spoken to the BJP leaders and mentioned how, this targeting of films and talking about films should stop. What are your views on this?
See, one point is very clear, that if the film is good, nobody can stop it. A good film always runs. A good film is a good film is a good film. Whether now he's talking about Dangal, or whether you're talking about Brahmastra, whether you're talking about any film. See, the situation is not what we are talking about, the quality of the film, or the whether anybody can boycott them or not. See, it is not a contest. First of all, the film industry should realize this fact that this boycott is not against Mr. Khan or Mr. Ranveer or Mr. anybody or even Aamir Khan. The boycott was announced by a certain section of people, naturally Hindu. Hindu organization पहले कभी खड़े नहीं हुए, इस बार खड़े हो गए, thanks to having a social media in their hand. Now they are objecting to the tendency of the certain filmmakers. I'm not against every maker. Go against Hindu dharma, use them, चाहे पीके हो, चाहे वो अभी जो आदि पुरुष हो या इवन अपना काली को सिगरेट दिखाता हो, अभिव्यक्ति की आजादी is not to be contested in this. You are biased. You are only against Hindu dharma. All these things I'm asking the person, the panel member, all these things, can you do this against Muslim dharma?
Okay.
Can you show a
Mr.
character
Khanna,
of a Muslim dharma
Mr.
or
Khanna,
a Sikh
and
dharma?
this was a question that I also brought out before I started the debate, is why are we even talking about religion when it comes to cinema? This sort of a conversation or a discourse wasn't there with that kind of a thumping clarity as it is today. There's so much of talk about religion, on how it is an anti-Hindu sentiment that is guiding this particular film. For that matter, you mentioned Ranbir Kapoor. There was a film Shamshera that also starred Sanjay Dutt. People were talking about how the villain sports a tilak and how Shamshera, the lead actor, is an atheist, and that's it. That is obviously an affront to Hindu culture. How much of that argument can even be taken and be justified?
It is changed. Accept the change. Why are you contesting कि पहले तो आप नहीं बोलते थे, आज क्यों बोलते हो? किसी आदमी जब कुछ नहीं बोलता, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि जिंदगी भर नहीं बोलेगा ना. आज अगर हिंदू धर्म को एक दिखा है जो पहले नहीं दिखता था, पहले दिखता था, but there were no social medias available कि आपस में मिलकर बातें करें. Now you must not compare any old film with today's film. उधर तो अलाउ किया था, आज इधर क्यों नहीं अलाउ किया? भाई साहब नहीं करेंगे. और why are you saying that the films cannot be, आप religion को film से नहीं ला सकते? क्यों नहीं ला सकते साहब? Film is a biggest platform. आपके पास आयाम है, आप millions of people को इफेक्ट करते हो. उसमें अगर आप हमारी आप अगर यूथ को गलत मैसेज देते हो, अश्लील सॉन्ग डालते हो, आप धर्म के खिलाफ करते हो, it will not be allowed. You can't say it is film and religion is different. You are trying to take advantage of Ramayan by telling everybody that हम रामायण बना रहे हैं. लोग हाथ जोड़ कर आएंगे, आइए साहब रामायण बना रहे हो. उसके बाद उसी रामायण में आप रावण को खिलजी, मोहम्मद खिलजी बना दोगे, आप राम को मूंछ लगा दोगे. See, I am saying, don't distort or don't उनका अपमान मत कीजिए.
Mr. Khanna, since you mentioned about Valmiki's Ramayan, let's talk about Ramayan, and let me actually present, obviously this is slightly away from the debate that we are at, but let me actually let you make that point. The fact that Ramayana has been interpreted time and again, whether it is through the course of the Ram Leelas that the country has witnessed in various parts of the country and small pockets in villages, the interpretation of Ramayana has been different, even to an extent of probably for titillation or making a mockery of the gods. It has been presented like that, and it has been consumed by the masses. And never such an attempt of calling this anti-Hindu or probably demeaning the gods has ever come into the discourse. It's only now that we're talking about. The film Shamshera that I spoke about, sir, is a recent film. And the film was got nothing to do with religion.
आपने कभी राम को राम लीलाओं में से छोड़िए, रामानंद सागर की रामायण से लेकर 50 रामायण उस जमाने में भी बनती थी, राम राज्य. कभी आपने राम को देखा है दाढ़ी मूंछ के साथ?
रामानंद सागर का भी जो इंटरप्रिटेशन था सर, वो भी तो उनका ही इंटरप्रिटेशन था, क्योंकि भगवान को तो किसी ने नहीं. All right. Let me actually get back to Feridun and get back to the debate that we are at. Feridun, how is Pathaan in any which way? The fact that we're seeing vandalism that is happening outside multiplexes, various reports are coming out right as we begin to actually wait for the release of the film on the 25th. We are seeing pre-booking ke pehle yahan pe vandalism ho raha hai. There are people, there are Bajrang Dal workers with saffron scarves who are burning the posters of Pathaan. All of these reports are coming out. Why such a trend? what has the filmmaker or Shah Rukh Khan or Deepika Padukone in this case done to probably unsettle the masses so much that there's such a massive boycott trend that is running against their film?
First of all, I'd like to stick to the context of the debate that you're having and not get into digressions. See, what I would like to bring to your notice is that there are at least 25 single screen cinema halls which had closed. They are being opened just to accommodate Pathaan. The advance booking as of now is historic. We're only talking about India. Obviously, the overseas, I think reports they are simply I think fascinating. The sort of buzz that is getting created around the film with every passing hour, I think it is truly historic. So basically, and there are examples when certain people who had tried to just, I think, disrupt, they have been arrested as well, which is, I think, good on the part of the government, the state governments as well. Assam Chief Minister has tweeted that he would like to assure that the film will be releasing safely in Assam. So I genuinely feel that the reports of whatever, I think, stoppages, the way certain people they're trying to do whatever they want to do, I think they're very few and far in between. What happens with this entire boycott culture is that it's very minuscule as far as social media is concerned. It has been proven as well that many a times it is manufactured, and there are digital teams that tend to work on certain trends. It's pretty easy. I'm sure that you know about that as well. So the way we are looking right now, we're looking at history as of now with Pathaan. The sort of business that we're talking about is truly historic. We should be talking about Shah Rukh Khan's tweet that he has done about, say, piracy, for example. Yes. Ideally, anyone who values film industry, they would want to do certain things about piracy, because that is a menace that is eating up, especially Bollywood films. Down south, they have a wonderful control over piracy. The fan clubs, they participate. The films they survive in cinema halls for several weeks. The people, poor people who know that they will be able to watch a film in, say, 4th or 5th week, because the price of the ticket will be far less, and they know that the film will be there in a cinema hall. So I think we should try and maybe, I think, just divert the discussion
concentrate
now
on the positives. Things. Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
let me actually, on that note, bring in Mr. Shiraz Nair also, who is with us, the VHP spokesperson. Mr. Nair, you just heard Feridun. Do you think the boycott call that you've called for in the case of Shah Rukh Khan's film has actually ended up working in its favor?
So first of all, thank you very much that you brought me after so.
I'm really sorry to keep you waiting.
We're not concerned whether it is working for or it's going against the film. We heard Mr. Mukesh Khanna saying, and he is a senior actor and he is from the industry itself. So whatever he has said, we fully agree by. Films in this country are produced and made for last 100 years. And if you're finding a boycott or a culture, it has been outlawed because people are fed up. In the name of creative freedom, you cannot only go for Hindu bashing. See the kind of films, even in the lockdown, the films we saw on the OTT platform, and the certain films like PK and some films they have say Mukesh Khanna name. It was only ridiculing, mocking one particular Hindu dharma. So people are fed up. So these people should understand the filmmakers have a big responsibility towards society. And if this boycott is...
Mr. Nair, that is exactly the point that Mr. Khanna also made, but I'd like to understand from you. I'm going back to Prime Minister Narendra Modi going ahead and advising the BJP leaders and members of the Bharatiya Janata Party to refrain from making these loose comments when it comes to films. Why did he have to do that? And that too in BJP Executive Committee meet. That means that it is happening on a large scale at the moment. It's very, very rampant and it's not required.
See, these people who are asking for boycott are from the society. They're not from Mars or any other planet. Now, and even the politicians or the BJP members, they are also part of the society. And they've been seeing this kind of films which are always targeted Hindu dharma. So there is, people are tired and fed up. So that is the reason, some filmmakers are facing the ire and anger of the viewers. So it's better that, we are definitely understand. We are also We are a responsible organization. We are in existence for 60 years, and we were formed in Mumbai itself, and we never interfered in the creative freedom. But at the same time, in the name of creative freedom, you cannot, serve porn or soft porn to the people, and you cannot show a woman in in this kind of fashion. There is certain responsibility towards the society, and you can always mock and ridicule Hindus only in the name of creative freedom.
Mr. Khanna, there were films that were made and they have been made. The point, all right, Mr. Shiraz Nair, you made your point. Let me actually come to Mr. Khanna. Mr. Khanna, the appeal that, one of the promising actors of the industry, Miss Kareena Kapoor Khan, made today, where she said that how else are people going to be getting every entertainment that they get, the feel-good factor that films brings to them, if at all this sort of a trend is, made to breed. Don't you think the point that she was also making, where people thrive, especially in India, where cinema and cricket are the only two second religions that people have, if at all there is a micromanagement of boycotting films, calling for boycott of films by any kind of, group or fringe element, should actually be banned and should not be allowed? Don't you think that is a point that also should be given some sort of a ground?
I would like to tell Mr. Nair and even to you also, nobody has yet answered my question that can you do whatever has been done for last few films? We are not talking about all the films. I am also an actor. I have worked in the 60 films. I am asking, abhi tak bhi nobody has answered this question that entertainment ke naam pe aap kya Hindu dharm ka mazak udaoge? Can you udaiye? I challenge you to do this for Sikh dharm or Christian dharm or even Muslim dharm.
Again, you are diverting the conversation to religion. How is Pathaan an affront to Hindu religion? Can you please explain that too? We are talking about Pathaan because we are talking about the film that is about to release. How is that an affront to the Hindu religion? I would like to understand from you, sir.
Are we talking about only Pathaan or are we talking
about
a
general
trend?
Pathaan. Let's talk about Pathaan because the film...
I have not seen the film. You have not seen the film. Nobody has seen the film.
The trend of boycotting Pathaan is something that is dominating the internet, sir.
No right to boycott. But if there is a signal that, like this song which was there, that created, and if Mr. Nair says that for entertainment of army, even Kareena says aur ka entertainment karega, we don't need that kind of entertainment which jo Hindu dharm ka mazak udata hai.
मुकेश खन्ना जी, एक गाने से हिंदू धर्म का मजाक कैसे हो जाएगा? हिंदू धर्म इतना ज्यादा कमजोर तो है नहीं कि किसी गाने की वजह से उसका मजाक उड़ जाएगा। और ये कितनी बार भी एस्टैब्लिश हो चुका है कि फिल्मों में ही इस तरह के रंगों का इस्तेमाल किया गया है। I'll come to you, Mr. Nair.
It's an अश्लील song.
There have been instances in the past, sir, where there have been.
Just see the Jogia Bikini.
Okay. Mr. Nair, please make your point.
Are they not afraid of Hindus?
Okay. I still don't understand the argument you are making, Mr. Khanna.
I'm telling Nair that the film will be a success. The success does not give you the guarantee of making another mockery of Hindu.
Let people decide. Why will you call for a boycott? Let people decide.
I think there's a misunderstanding. The other gentleman, you're quoting about the other gentleman.
I don't know which gentleman, but I'm saying, I'm hearing only, I cannot hear much.
Okay, probably meant Feridun. He did not mention that. Feridun, I'll come to you now. Feridun, the fact that I also mentioned the death of Sushant Singh Rajput. We had seen how there were fan armies of Sushant Singh who were disgruntled lot. And they were very, very upset with many from the film industry. Owing from that one fact that many of the bigwigs of the industry did not go ahead and even offer any kind of compassion vis-a-vis Sushant. And that probably raked that kind of sentiment. And we'd seen that boycott trend that had happened ever since that was, we spoke about the drug bust in Bollywood and amid other things. It was a huge controversy. Do you think that also has been a breeding ground? Because I wouldn't really restrict it to that, but however, that was a big event. I'm sorry for the use of a better word. The fact that there was a Padmavat which was boycotted before the death of Sushant. However, this entire boycott culture really gained a lot of ground, after his death. Do you think that also was a trigger point, or it has no relevance whatsoever?
No, see, definitely, I think whatever happened with Sushant, and after that, there were a lot of. So I spoke to many people from within the film industry, and there was this conversation that started, a very healthy conversation that started. That somehow this entire culture of maybe a lack of empathy towards newcomers, maybe outsiders, the fact that maybe they are not given those many number of chances the way the star kids maybe are. So we had conversations with many people, like especially say Manoj Bajpayee, for example, and so many people. They cried, they shared their stories, they expressed themselves. So I think a very healthy conversation started as well, as far as from Sushant's death, and it is important, and it has also definitely contributed to the fact that more efforts are taken in terms of giving talented people due respect, due chance, and that was definitely a very good.
Right,
I think,
absolutely. So which actually brings me to the question that I want to ask here. We have Shah Rukh on the screen also, and it is his film that is impending a release. Now, he said that social media has become a breeding ground for narrowness of views and also for divisiveness. Do you think what really started through social media campaigns for the better in Sushant Singh Rajput's case has been used in all the negative ways, and because of which you see this growing social media boycott trends that the film industry is now, being subject to? Do you think that is also a reason that people have actually got a hang of how you can do it, and that's how they've decided to do it?
I think all of us, we know how social media works, and I think this has been proven time and again. And there are many, I think, reports that have come out that. It's very easy to do a trend. It's very easy to do that. So there are multiple factors. What happens is that the genuine concern that tends to get diluted because of the fact that there are certain things that are taking place which are maybe not the actual truth, but it is more of like a manufactured truth.
All right.
So I think there are all sorts of things which are there. So everything that is there on social media is not the gospel's truth.
Absolutely, and we hope that every film gets its due. I'd like to thank all my guests for joining me. I'm really sorry I have to move on to this next piece of breaking news that we are getting on the broadcast. But this is something that we need to actually present before our viewers, as there been another instance of unruly behavior on a flight. Now, this has emerged during the boarding at Delhi, where one passenger on a SpiceJet flight behaved in an unruly and inappropriate fashion, harassing and also causing disturbance within the cabin crew. In fact, the cabin crew also informed the security staff about this incident, and they were later handed over to the security team. Taking this across to my colleague Pallavi. Pallavi, what exactly had happened in this case?
So in this case, there were two passengers, and they were traveling together. And what we are picking up is that on a SpiceJet, they got in an argument, an altercation with the cabin crew over there, and this was just something which flared out of situation. In fact, there were other passengers on the same aircraft who were complaining about what they call the unruly behavior. We already know the DGCA, for example, has very strict rules as far as passenger behavior is also concerned. I mean, recently what it's called the P-gate controversy, we've seen how they've come down very heavily on the passenger concern. In this case, too, the two passengers were clearly offloaded. Investigations are still going on, and a complaint also has been registered against them.
Right, Pallavi, do we see that as many other flights taking a cue from what had happened in the Air India P-gate scandal, considering how Air India was reprimanded and how the action taken was much delayed, and that's why we also seeing this prompt action when it comes to this unruliness that is witnessed inside the cabin?
I think it's going to work both the ways. I mean, even the staff, for example, is going to be held accountable and responsible if they don't take prompt action against unruly passengers, as we've seen in the case of the Air India case. But also, as far as passengers are concerned, look, the DGC already has certain rules in place about how passenger etiquette. But, I think with this kind of a mounting social media pressure, more incidents taking place, I think now it's going to become stricter and firmer, where people will be expected to fall in line, no drinking, no misbehavior, and certainly not unruly behavior which can inconvenience both the cabin crew as well as the co-passengers.
Right. Pallavi, thank you so much for that. With that, it's an end on the broadcast from me. My colleague Shivani Gupta is joining you on the other side with Plain Speak.